The evening was quiet and slow, the kind of evening that made time feel stretched and heavy. Adam lived in a small house at the edge of the town, where the road grew narrow and the streetlights flickered early. His life had become a simple routine built on work, meals, and long silent nights. He did not complain about it, because silence felt safer than hope, and routine felt easier than memory. Adam had learned to live with the past without touching it. He woke early, worked long hours, and returned home when the sky was already dark. His house held few signs of another person, only clean surfaces and carefully placed furniture. The walls were bare except for a single framed picture of a quiet road taken years ago. He never explained why he kept it. That evening, Adam stood in his kitchen washing a cup he had already washed once before. His mind wandered without direction, drifting through thoughts he did not welcome but could not stop. Outside, the wind moved softly through the trees, brushing against the house like a reminder that the world was still alive. Then the knock came. It was not loud or rushed. It was steady and patient. Adam froze with his hands still under the running water. No one ever came to his door at this hour. His first thought was that he had imagined it, but then the knock came again, just as calm as before. He turned off the tap and dried his hands slowly. Each step toward the door felt heavier than it should have. A strange feeling settled in his chest, something between fear and recognition. When he opened the door, the porch light revealed two figures standing close together. A woman stood in front, her posture careful, as if she was ready to step back at any moment. Her face showed strength shaped by years of effort, but her eyes carried a quiet nervousness. Beside her stood a young girl, tall now, with her hands folded tightly in front of her. She stared at Adam with an intensity that made his breath catch. For several seconds, none of them spoke. The air felt thick, filled with words that had waited a long time to be said. Adam knew them before his mind could explain why. Time had changed them, but memory had not. He felt it in his chest, a sudden pull from a night he had never truly left behind. The woman spoke first. She said his name softly, almost as if testing whether it still belonged to him. Adam nodded, unable to answer. His voice felt trapped somewhere deep inside him. He stepped aside without thinking, holding the door open wider. They entered the house slowly, as if stepping into unfamiliar ground. The girl glanced around the room, her eyes curious and cautious. The woman looked at Adam again, then at the chair by the table. He gestured for them to sit, and they did, careful and quiet. For a moment, the only sound was the ticking of the clock on the wall. Adam sat across from them, his hands resting on the table. The woman took a deep breath, steadying herself before she spoke again. She told him it had taken years to find him. She said fear had followed them for a long time, fear of being seen, fear of being found, fear of trusting the wrong person. She explained how silence became a shield, how moving forward meant leaving many things behind, including the man who helped them when they had nowhere else to go. Adam listened without interruption. Every word pulled him back to that night. The rain had been heavy, the road empty, and the broken car had sat at an angle near the trees. He remembered the way the woman held the small girl close, her eyes filled with panic and determination. He remembered offering help without thinking, because thinking would have meant turning away. The girl shifted in her seat and finally spoke. Her voice was calm but filled with emotion she could not hide. She said she remembered that night clearly. She remembered the warmth of his jacket and the way he spoke softly to her when she was scared. She said that memory stayed with her, even when everything else felt uncertain. Adam felt his chest tighten. He had told himself for years that what he did was small, that it was only one night, one moment. Hearing her words made him realize how wrong that belief had been. He looked at the girl and saw not just who she was now, but who she had been then, small and trembling, holding on to hope she did not know how to name. The woman continued, her voice steadier now. She said there were many nights when she thought about returning, about knocking on his door sooner. But fear always won until time finally softened it. She said the girl grew older asking questions, wanting answers, wanting to understand why kindness came from a stranger when they needed it most. Adam spoke at last. His voice was quiet, careful, but real. He said he often wondered what happened to them. He said he hoped they were safe. He said he never searched, because he believed their peace mattered more than his curiosity. The woman nodded, tears shining in her eyes. She said that choice was another act of kindness, even if Adam never knew it. The room grew still again, not with awkward silence, but with understanding. Outside, the wind slowed, and the house felt warmer than it had in years. Adam realized something had shifted, something he had not planned or prepared for. The past had not returned to hurt him. It had returned to remind him that some moments never truly end. When they stood to leave, the woman hesitated. She asked if they could return another time. Adam answered without pause. He said the door was open. As he watched them walk down the path, he stood in the doorway long after they were gone, knowing that years of silence had finally found their voice. The days after the visit passed in a strange and gentle way for Adam. His routine stayed the same on the surface, but something underneath had shifted quietly. When he woke in the mornings, the house no longer felt empty in the same way. The silence was still there, but it carried expectation instead of weight. Adam found himself thinking about Maria and Lena often. Small moments brought memories back, like the sound of footsteps outside or the way the wind brushed against the windows at night. He wondered how many times they had stood at doors before choosing his. He wondered how much courage it took to return after years of distance. A week later, they came again. This time the knock felt familiar instead of surprising. Adam opened the door with a steadier heart, and Maria smiled when she saw him. Lena stood taller now, her expression brighter, as if the house itself gave her comfort. They stepped inside without hesitation, and the room accepted them easily. They talked for a long time that afternoon. Maria shared stories of their life after leaving town. She spoke about small homes, new beginnings, and the careful way she learned to trust the world again. She did not hide the hard parts, but she did not let them take over the room either. Her words carried strength built from effort and patience. Lena listened closely, sometimes adding her own memories. She talked about school, about friends she had made, and about the questions she used to ask her mother at night. She said she always wondered who Adam was and why he helped without asking anything in return. She said that mystery stayed with her and shaped how she saw people. Adam listened more than he spoke. He noticed how easily the room filled with voices now. He offered tea, then food, then stories of his own past that he had not shared with anyone in years. He spoke about work, about growing older quietly, and about learning how to be alone without feeling broken. As the sun moved across the sky, Adam realized time was moving faster than usual. The hours passed without effort, and laughter came naturally. He felt something open inside him, something he had closed after years of keeping himself distant from connection. Maria watched him carefully. At one point, she thanked him again, not just for that night long ago, but for listening now. She said listening was another kind of help, one that mattered just as much. Adam nodded, feeling the truth of her words settle deeply. When evening came, they prepared to leave, but there was no rush this time. Maria asked if they could come again soon. Adam said yes before she finished the question. He surprised himself with how easily the word came. Over the following weeks, their visits became part of Adam's life. Some days they talked for hours, and other days they sat quietly together. Lena often brought books or schoolwork, spreading them across the table while Adam made simple meals. Maria helped clean without being asked, moving through the house as if she belonged there. Adam noticed changes in himself that he could not ignore. He began cooking meals meant for more than one person. He fixed things around the house he had ignored for years. He smiled more often, even when he was alone. The house no longer felt like a place he hid in. It felt like a place waiting to be shared. One evening, Maria stayed behind after Lena stepped outside to take a call. The room grew quiet, and Maria spoke softly. She told Adam that the night he helped them was not just a moment of rescue. She said it was the moment she decided to keep going when she felt exhausted and afraid. She said his calm presence gave her strength she did not know she had. Adam listened, his hands folded tightly together. He had never thought of himself as strong. He had only acted because it felt right at the time. Hearing how deeply that choice mattered made him feel both humbled and overwhelmed. Maria said she carried gratitude silently for years because she did not know how to express it without reopening wounds. She said returning was not about repaying a debt. It was about honoring a connection that shaped their lives. When Lena returned, Adam looked at her differently. He saw not only the girl she was becoming, but the child she had been. He understood then that kindness could travel through time in ways no one could predict. That night, after they left, Adam sat alone at the table long after the house grew quiet. He realized he was no longer afraid of the past. The memories no longer felt heavy. They felt meaningful. As weeks turned into months, the bond between them deepened. Lena trusted Adam with her worries and dreams. Maria shared her hopes and plans without holding back. Adam offered support without hesitation, learning that being present was sometimes the most important gift. He understood now that saving someone did not always end when danger passed. Sometimes, it continued through years of silence, waiting patiently for the right moment to return. Life settled into a steady rhythm that felt new yet familiar for Adam. The days no longer blurred together in quiet sameness. Each week brought moments he looked forward to, moments that filled the empty spaces he once ignored. The house carried warmth now, shaped by voices and shared time. Lena began coming after school more often. She would drop her bag near the door and talk about her day while Adam prepared simple food. Her words came fast, filled with questions, ideas, and small worries. Adam listened with patience, offering gentle thoughts when needed. He never tried to guide her path, only to support her steps. Maria often arrived later, her presence calm and grounding. She moved through the house with ease, sometimes cooking, sometimes sitting quietly with Adam. Their conversations grew deeper, touching on choices made and paths taken. They spoke of fear and courage without judgment, understanding that both shaped who they were. Adam found himself opening up in ways he never planned. He spoke about his younger years, about chances missed and roads not taken. He admitted how loneliness became a habit rather than a feeling. Maria listened closely, never interrupting, her understanding clear in her eyes. One afternoon, Lena stayed late, working on a project at the table. Adam watched her focus, her determination clear. He saw the strength she carried, shaped by hardship but guided by hope. It reminded him that the past could shape the future without defining it. As the seasons changed, the town seemed different to Adam. Streets he once walked alone now felt alive with possibility. He began joining Maria and Lena for walks, sharing quiet moments under open skies. Laughter came easily, and silence felt comfortable rather than heavy. Maria noticed the change in Adam before he did. She mentioned how his posture had shifted, how his eyes held light again. Adam smiled at her words, unsure how to explain the shift within him. He only knew that connection had given him something he did not realize he needed. One evening, as they sat together after dinner, Maria spoke carefully. She shared her hope of building a stable future, one rooted in trust and openness. She spoke of wanting Lena to grow with support from people who cared. Adam listened, understanding the unspoken invitation in her words. He responded honestly, saying he was still learning how to open his life fully. He admitted fear of change, but also a desire to embrace it. Maria nodded, respecting his pace, grateful for his honesty. The room felt safe, shaped by mutual respect. Lena watched the exchange quietly, sensing the importance of the moment. She spoke about her dreams, about wanting to help others as Adam once helped her. Her words carried conviction beyond her years. Adam felt pride rise within him, a quiet joy that surprised him. The bond between them grew stronger with each shared moment. Adam learned that family could form without planning, shaped instead by choice and care. He found comfort in their presence, and strength in their trust. One night, after Maria and Lena left, Adam reflected on the changes. He realized he no longer saw his past as something to escape. Instead, it became a foundation for growth. The night years ago by the roadside was no longer a shadow. It was a light that guided him forward. Weeks passed, and the connection deepened naturally. Adam supported Lena through challenges, offering encouragement rather than answers. He respected her independence while being present. Maria appreciated his balance, grateful for the role he played. As winter approached, the house became a gathering place. Simple meals turned into traditions, small rituals that brought comfort. Adam found joy in the ordinary, understanding that meaning often lived in simple acts. One afternoon, Maria shared a quiet moment with Adam by the window. She spoke of gratitude not as a debt, but as a shared journey. Adam listened, feeling the weight of her words, yet also their freedom. He understood that kindness did not demand repayment, only recognition. Lena joined them, her laughter filling the room. Adam realized then that the silence he once feared had transformed. It was no longer empty, but peaceful. He no longer avoided hope, embracing it carefully yet fully. The past no longer stood between them. It became a bridge, connecting who they were to who they were becoming. Adam felt ready to step forward, trusting that the future could hold warmth and connection. As the night settled, Adam looked around his home, now filled with life. He understood that saving someone once had opened a path he never expected. Years later, that path led back to him, reshaping his world with purpose and care. He knew then that some moments echo beyond time, shaping lives in quiet, powerful ways. And as he prepared for what lay ahead, Adam felt certain that he was no longer alone, and that was enough. Winter arrived with slow mornings and pale sunlight that stretched across the floor of Adam's house. The air outside was cold and sharp, but inside the rooms felt warmer than they ever had before. The sounds of life filled the space now, footsteps, voices, and the soft clink of cups on the table. Adam noticed these small sounds more than anything, because they reminded him that the silence had finally changed. Maria and Lena kept coming, not as visitors anymore, but as people who belonged. They brought groceries sometimes, and sometimes they brought nothing except their presence. Lena would sit near the window and talk about her plans for the future. Maria would move through the kitchen like she had always been there, making simple meals, smiling when Adam tried to help. One afternoon, Lena arrived looking quieter than usual. Her shoulders were tense, and her eyes held something heavy. Adam noticed right away. He did not push her to speak, but he stayed close, offering calm through his presence. Maria watched too, her face filled with concern but also patience. After some time, Lena finally spoke. She said she had been thinking about the past more lately. She said she was grateful for what happened, but she also felt confused sometimes. She wanted to understand why people could be kind and why people could be cruel. She wanted to know how to live without fear taking over her life. Adam listened carefully. He chose his words slowly. He told her that fear could be loud, but it did not have to be in control. He said strength did not mean never feeling afraid. Strength meant moving forward while being afraid. Lena's eyes softened as she listened, as if she had been waiting to hear that from someone who understood. Maria reached across the table and held Lena's hand. Her voice was quiet when she spoke. She said she had spent years trying to protect Lena from everything, even from feelings that were hard to face. She admitted she sometimes carried guilt, believing she should have found safety sooner. Lena squeezed her hand, and Adam saw a silent understanding pass between them. That evening, the three of them sat together longer than usual. They did not fill the time with many words. They let the quiet settle naturally, and for Adam, it felt like the safest silence he had ever known. As the weeks continued, a new kind of comfort grew between them. They celebrated small moments, Lena's good results at school, Maria's progress at work, Adam's repair of an old heater that had not worked properly for years. These were not big events, but they carried meaning because they were shared. One night, Maria stayed late after Lena went outside to meet a friend. Maria and Adam sat at the table with warm tea in their hands. The room was dim, lit only by a small lamp. Maria looked at Adam for a long moment, then spoke carefully. She said she had learned something over the years. She said she had learned that survival was not the same as living. She said that even after finding safety, her heart stayed guarded. She admitted that when Lena first suggested finding Adam, she hesitated because she was afraid of feeling again. She was afraid of trust, afraid of connection, afraid of opening a door that might bring pain. Adam understood her words deeply. He told her that he also lived in survival for a long time, even without realizing it. He said he kept his life small to avoid disappointment. He said he thought silence would protect him. Maria nodded, and for the first time, Adam felt that someone truly saw him. Maria then shared something that surprised Adam. She told him she did not just come back for gratitude. She came back because she believed some connections were meant to return. She said Lena needed someone who represented kindness in its pure form. She said she also needed that reminder, because she did not want Lena to grow up believing the world was only dangerous. Adam felt emotion rise in his chest. He could not speak right away. He looked down at his hands, then back up at Maria. He said quietly that he was glad they came. He said he did not know what the future should look like, but he knew he did not want to lose them again. Maria's eyes filled with tears, but she smiled through them. She said they did not want to lose him either. In that moment, Adam felt something settle inside him, something steady and strong. Later that week, Maria and Lena arrived with a small box. Lena looked excited but nervous. Maria told Adam it was not a gift in the usual sense. It was something they wanted him to have because it represented what he gave them long ago. Inside the box was a simple framed photo. It showed a road under a cloudy sky, a quiet place that looked like the roadside where everything changed. Adam stared at it, his throat tight. Lena said she remembered that road, even if her memories were blurred by fear. She said she wanted him to know that moment became their turning point. Adam held the frame gently, as if it might break. He realized he had kept one picture of a road in his house for years without fully understanding why. Now he understood. Roads were not only places of danger or escape. Roads could also be places where life changed for the better. As winter ended and the first signs of spring appeared, the future began to feel real. Maria talked about moving closer to Adam's area, not because they needed him, but because they wanted to be near. Lena spoke about her goals with more confidence. Adam started making plans too, small plans that included more than himself. One bright morning, Maria and Lena stood at Adam's door again, but this time it felt different. They did not stand there like strangers returning. They stood there like people who had already found their place. Maria said they had found a new home nearby. Lena smiled and said this meant they could see Adam more often, not as a reminder of the past, but as part of their everyday life. Adam felt his eyes sting. He nodded and stepped aside, letting them in. The door closed behind them, not shutting the world out, but holding something precious inside. Adam realized that years ago he saved them in a moment of need. Now, in a quieter way, they were saving him too, by giving him a reason to live with hope again. And as they sat together, talking and laughing, Adam understood that the long silence had not erased their connection. It had only delayed the moment when it could return, stronger, deeper, and ready to become a new beginning.